What's up, guys, and welcome back for another solo industry episode 11. We're going to be talking in this episode about why I don't copy BPOs, especially cheap ones. Also, we'll talk about some of the skills that you might need in order to do industry, just to kind of get you started at the lower levels and everything like that. And then what it takes to kind of support what you've seen in this episode or this series so far with mining and how I kind of facilitate that. Before we get started, this series and the continued content on the channel is made possible by Patreon. And if you have any questions, the best way to get them answered is through the Q&A chat on Patreon. Also, you get a lot of other membership benefits for being a patron as well. Direct support to the channel. You get a Discord role among exclusive content, and like I said, that Q&A chat. That's the best way to get questions answered relatively quick. With all that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about the farming aspect, I guess, the mining that supports all of this. Now, I'm not in a big hurry to make a ton of ISK with industry. I have time on my side. I am not in a hurry to do a lot of things quickly, so I don't mind mining a lot of it myself. But if some materials are actually cheaper, then I will sometimes buy them if it makes sense. And I always cross-reference all of that with my spreadsheets and stuff. Now, I've talked about in the past where I've taken an alpha tune mine for the industry goals that I've had going on. And all I really do with that is I log out this omega and I log in an alpha that I'm working on, and I'll let them mine. If I'm building alts for SP farms or to size up my mining operation, why not let them contribute to the industry side as well? Now, this industry tune that you see here does PI, it does industry, and that's it. It's got implants, so I usually don't take it out and do a lot of mining with it. It does have a mine link on it, so if I do need another Orca pilot or if I do need another Porpoise pilot, that is what this guy is for. As you can see here, the implants are pretty basic. Mining form and mine link, that's just if I need this tune to be a command alt. And then I'm doing things like the bean counter reprocessing, that's the RX804, and then I'm running the MY705, and then also the research RR Tech 605. Now, to give you some ideas of what these do, the RR605 will give us a 5% bonus to manufacturing time research. These bonuses go into effect when you start that activity. You don't have to have these implants on all the time. And then this one, the MY Tech 705, this gives us 5% bonus to material efficiency speed. Like I said, with all these implants, as long as you have them on your pod when you start that material efficiency research, you'll get that bonus. And then the last one here is the RX804. Now, this is a 4% bonus to ore and ice reprocessing. This is me actually taking all that ore and reprocessing it into the materials. So I don't do that on my mining alts. I do it on the actual industry tune that is skilled to do it. And that's very important as well. Everything else on here is just training, +5 attribute implants. Nothing crazy there. Now let's talk about skills. The meat of this episode is going to be revolving around skills. These are important. There's a lot of skills that go into industry, and prioritizing the right thing depending on what you're trying to do is very, very important. Now, in your industry window, depending on what you're trying to do, each blueprint might have its own set of requirements, its own set of skills. And when you load that up, you can actually go here in the center and you can roll over that. Like this one has an industry 1 requirement, or maybe there's different requirements for the research or the copying or when you start doing invention. So go in there and look for that stuff. You might have some science skills that you have to train to do some invention, or especially reactions and stuff. And I usually don't train those secondary, tertiary science skills unless I actually need them. So don't worry about, sizing up that skill queue too much with science and production unless you're actually going to be using the benefit from that skill. Some of the more important science skills are going to be your metallurgy, and this is going to increase your bonus to material efficiency research. So every time you get a BPO, you're going to be researching its ME, and you're researching its time efficiency. So you want this skill at 5. And then you want laboratory operations and advanced laboratory operations. This is the skill that actually increases the amount of science jobs or research jobs you can do. This maxes out at 11. I have 10 of 10 right now going. If I want that 11th slot, then I just need to finish training Advanced Laboratory Operations 5, which that's what I'm doing right now. 23 days, and I'll have 11 research slots. That means I can do 11 BPOs researching at the same time. That's very important. Those are probably the 3 biggest. And then research. So research, metallurgy, your laboratory operations, your advanced laboratory operations, and then science. So science is actually going to give you a 5% bonus to blueprint copy. That's your copy skill. Research, that's going to be your time efficiency research, your manufacturing time research. And then laboratory operations, that's going to get you the first set of research slots. And then the advanced laboratory ops, that is your next set. And then now we're going to move into production real quick. There's kind of the same thing happening on the production side. Industry, as you already know, is a required skill for doing a lot of mining ships and stuff like that. But it also gives you a 4% reduction in manufacturing time per skill level. So when you start making your product, to bring those manufacturing times down, you need industry. And then you need the advanced industry skill that further decreases the manufacturing and research time. And then your mass production skills, that is going to be what, like your science laboratory operations. The mass production skill is going to give you more manufacturing slots, and it maxes out at 11. So mass production, advanced mass production. Once you actually get advanced mass production 5, you will have all 11 slots unlocked, so you can be manufacturing 11 different things at the same time. Now, the last skill category that I would recommend you start investing in is going to be resource processing. I do highly recommend that the tune that's doing your industry is the same tune that's actually reprocessing all the materials. This allows you to dump all the ore on that one tune and then process it and then consume it. So resource processing is where you want to start. Depending on what you're using, what you're mining, what you're processing, you want to make sure that you're training the right reprocess skills for that stuff. For high-sec ore, that's going to be simple ore processing. The same skill is used for unlocking the modulated crystals, the Tech 2 crystals. You have to have rank 4 of this. This skill also gives you more yield. You want things like reprocessing efficiency, and if you're doing reactions, then you want reactions, mass reactions, and advanced mass reactions as well. All this stuff in here, depending on what you're doing, if you're doing high sec or Poshvin or low sec or null sec or go in here, it's lined up too. It's like whatever, if you're training your miners into using the crystals for that type of ore, train your industry alt in the same processing skill so that they can actually get more yield on that repros. And then also you have like ice and stuff in here as well. My industry tune is like 95 million skill points, so it's actually a max miner, which kind of helped. It already had modulated to Tech 2 crystal training, so we were already kind of halfway there. Everything else that I did on this tune was just queuing up pretty much everything in this processing category and just min-maxing it the most. As far as everything else goes, Blockade Runner is really good to have. This is using the new Deluge right now, as you've seen in other episodes, and it's pretty good and all that. There's not really a magic, formula or a magic skill plan to, like, industry and stuff. It really is situational based on where you are at in space, what you're manufacturing, and stuff like that. If your manufacturing pipeline also includes PI, then you're going to want to actually train PI skills, which is its whole other category, and I'd cover that in a whole other series of videos. But having all that stuff trained up as well doesn't hurt either. The last thing we're going to cover in this video is why I don't actually copy cheap BPOs. Now, if you expensive BPOs like a Rorqual or an Orca BPO, different story. Or if you're making freighters, copying those can help, because the research time is really, really long, and it does help to make a copy, and especially if you have to go to a different location to run in maybe a engineering complex, not carrying around the expensive BPO. But cheap BPOs, like the venture or any of the stuff we're doing right now is not really worth, in my mind, copying. Even nanite repair paste and fuel blocks, I don't copy those either. And I'll show you why. Go to copy. This is a fully researched. This is the first venture BPO that we actually copied. So let's just set this for one job run, one copy. So this copy would essentially give us one venture. Now, to make this copy, it will take 51 minutes. Now, if we just go over to the other side of the fence here and we just make one venture, that would take 54 minutes. If I made that one copy and waited 54 minutes, then when it popped out, waited another 54 minutes, I'm using more time than is necessary. So what I do is, since they're cheap BPOs, I just buy, 10 or 11 of them, get them all researched, and then just run them. I save a lot of time and not worrying about copying and stuff like that. Now, if you need to do some manufacturing in a system that you're not familiar with, and you don't feel comfortable bringing the fully researched BPO over there or flying with it in space, then by all means, copy it. The thing here is, let's max this out. So I can make, in a 30-day period, 795 ventures. It takes 30 days. Now let's go over here and go to the copy here. So we can't get it spot on, but we'll get 30 days. 30 days, 19 hours, 30 minutes. So that's 29 runs. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 29 times 30 is 870. So if we made these copies, we would have to wait 30 days, 19 hours to get enough copies to make 870 ventures. Then we would have to actually wait again when we manufacture them. So in my mind, it's easier just to skip the whole copy process, max this thing out at 795, 30 days, 48 minutes, and we're good to go. That's the reasoning, and that's kind of what we're going with this. Now, we're going to end up having 11 manufacturing slots by the time these are all done. I'm not going to go for the 11th venture BPO. I'm going to stick it to just 10 because I want to keep one slot open to do, whatever else we want to do. But as you can see here, we've already got, this is like the second round, actually, of research on these guys. So we're going to let these guys kind of mature, let these guys kind of get done researching and everything. And as you can see here, we've actually done quite a bit of mining lately. So we've got about 43 million trit right now and about 66,000 isogen. Isogen is going to be our biggest bottleneck because we are in high sec. We can go after rare ore sites and stuff like that. We can actually go ratting and do salvaging and salvage wrecks, loot modules. Scrap metal processing is actually really important too. Let's not forget that. In the resource processing, we have scrap metal processing right here. If you want to go out and rat and just loot everything, all those modules that the rats and the NPCs drop, if you have that scrap metal processing skill, you'll get more minerals from that stuff. So that's actually a really good way to get like trit if you're in nullsec, or getting some of the like Zydrine and Megasite and stuff like that if you're in high sec. So it doesn't require you to go out and mine in low sec or rare ore site, but you can kind of like change things up, go do some PvE, and still kind of work on your material stockpile, as it were. We'll cover that a little bit more in the future, and I'll kind of show you setups for that as well. But it's also kind of an option that you can put in your toolkit and whatever. That's gonna be it for this episode. Hopefully this answered some questions, and as this series progresses, we will try to do more and more interesting things. But right now we're still in high sec, so doing a 2 billion a month in high sec with just ventures, I think will be a pretty good goal. And once we get there, we'll go on to the next thing. But check out that Patreon. That's the best place to get your questions answered, get that Discord role, help support the channel, all that good stuff. But thank you guys for watching, and see you next time. Peace out.